Well, hello there. This is your biggest supporter. My name is Mark Dulaney. His name is Rick Collins. Together, we created the Creating Health and Wealth for Retirement podcast. And Rick, I got it right the first time without rehearsal. His
Hey,
name is Rick.
score a win in the win column. Way to go, Mark. You
His
pulled
name
it
is that.
off.
That voice you hear is Rick Collins. Rick, say hello and welcome our vast array of listeners.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rick Collins. I am the financial guy to help you create a retirement lifestyle worth living, protecting your money, growing your money, keeping your future safe from income taxes, stock market risk, health risk, longevity risk, and all the other risks that are kind of out there in the netherworld that could come up and bite you if you don't know how to deal with those things. And looking forward to working with you and helping you achieve your goals instead of living day to day.
And of course, my name is Mark Dulaney, and I help you create health for retirement and short-term goals. I mean, you don't have to wait till retirement to benefit from health. The moment you start walking and get more energy, you have a better life. Rick today has a topic for us we're going to discuss. Rick, that title is What If? We'll talk about it in a few minutes. But first, we must report how we did last week on our specific activities that'll help us create the life we want to live. Rick, do you want to go first?
I'll go first. This was a week. This was a challenging week. I'd set a goal out to get to the gym 3 days and then walk 3 times, and I did not make it to the gym a single time. I let work get in my way. We had some weather for a couple of days. That was a convenient excuse. I did do some body weight exercises, calisthenics, and stretching, and some dumbbells. Got worked on the arms and upper body a little bit at home. I really wanted to get to the gym, but I didn't want it bad enough, so I didn't do it. I came up with, I don't know if it was a reason or an excuse, but for whatever it was, did not make it to the gym. I did go walking 4 different times. Um, I take a mile walk around my neighborhood with my dog, and we both need to lose a little weight. My dog, especially. I have a 95-pound pit bull who thinks he's a lap dog. He could stand to lose a few dozen pounds probably. But all in all, it was a good week. I've gotten to where I'm actually enjoying the walking, and my aura ring is giving me feedback, and my cardiovascular age is now 3 years ahead of my chronological age instead of it was four. So whatever I'm doing is making my heart stronger and healthier. It's really about the consistency. I do want to get to the gym more often so I can do some more advanced weight training, strength training to keep my muscles and bones strong. And this week's going to be a challenge because I'm going to be on site at a client for a consulting position for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. So that's going to eat into my available time with between the drive time and being at a client. It's going to be challenging, but it's I'm not going to beat myself up. I set goals. I did not hit the gym, but I didn't slack off completely. Um, I've been watching my um, protein intake, trying to keep that above 75 grams a day. That's a lot of Greek yogurt, but luckily I like Greek yogurt. And some protein shakes. I actually went to the doctor this week and kind of an eye awakener. She ran a blood test and my A1C was actually 7.0, which means I had an average blood sugar the last 3 months of over 150. I thought I'd done better, but the tests don't lie. I've got to do better with the exercise will help lower my blood sugar. I've got to watch my carb intake and be more cognizant of what I'm putting in my body, the fuel I'm in entering into the system. But she did say, "Hey, your BMI is almost normal." I'm like, "Well, I've always been above average BMI, even when I'm 200 pounds, which I'm right at 205 these days." But um, it's good to have those markers, references of what I'm doing. I'm actually tracking my gym and walking, and I want to be able to monitor that and so I can look back over the year and see how much I've actually accomplished. Because sometimes it gets lost in the translation of the day to day. So this week's going to be a better week, even though I'm going to lose some flexibility because of the travel I'm going to be doing, but I'm going to make it work somewhere. I'm going to get to the gym and I'm going to go for walks, and I'll let you know how I do next week. What about you, Mark?
I had a disappointing week. I'll just start with that. Although I did make some gains and did some things that I stretched myself to do. So on Monday and Tuesday, I made those contacts on Monday I made full contacts. On Tuesday, I did 70% of what I said I would do. So we started down a slide there. And then on Wednesday, I developed something we all develop, we just never admit it. Disbelief. Started wondering if what I was doing working, and I started thinking more about it than anything else. And that was my Wednesday. So I contacted no one on Wednesday.
So you
On
got in your
Thursday,
own head and got you in your own way. What's
I that's what
Tell
I
me
said.
it's not so, Mark.
Oh, it is. I'm a real person with real feelings. I exercise like crazy this week because that's my thing. It's easy for me to do that. I'm trying to grow into making marketing like I exercise, and that's my struggle. And you're the opposite. You do the great with the marketing, and you're trying to get into the swing of things with the exercise. We all have our things. So on Thursday, I woke up and said, okay, Mark, you're defeating yourself. And I decided to go to a networking event, and I brought business cards, and I made a commitment to walk up to everyone I could and say, I have this free program. Here's a card. Go check it out. And I did that. And I was proud of myself for doing that. And then Thursday night, driving back from that networking event, I'm driving down this major street, crossing a major intersection in my community, and I run over something. We have terrible roads here in the wintertime because of snow and salt and plowing. And then 3 seconds later, you know how you can feel deflated? Well, you can feel your tires deflating at the same time. And my tire just went down to nothing, and I went 2 blocks further, and then I had to wait 2.5 to 3 hours for the AAA person to come and change my tire. And then the next day, Friday morning, I had to spend most of the daytime going to get the new tires that I needed for my car. And so Thursday was very productive. Monday was very productive. Tuesday was semi-productive. Wednesday and Friday, I failed.
So what
For
did you do while you were stuck on the side of the road for 3 hours waiting for the tow truck?
Well, first of all, it was 10 o'clock at night. So I listened to some Alex Hermosi videos. I listened to another guy I'm fond of. I did some reading. I used the time productively, and I listened to some things that I've been meaning to listen to.
Called your podcast partner to have a check in, didn't
That's
you?
right. I forgot about that. I called you and said, hey, here's where I'm at. And I confessed to you on Thursday, Rick, I started to disbelief in what I'm doing. And Rick, at some point, we should do a show on disbelief because I think disbelief is a very, very real thing in our lives. And it stops us from doing more things we can do than we may think about. And so I just want to say this to you if you're listening to me, and to you, Rick, if you sometimes we don't suffer from an inability to do something, we suffer from a disbelief in our ability to do something, or disbelief that causes us to quit before we should. And it happened to me on Wednesday, and I'm glad I caught myself. So then on Thursday, I went out and made a point to find a different way to reach people.
So by disbelief, is that doubt, fear, worry, anxiety? What do you think disbelief is? What is your definition of disbelief?
So disbelief is anything that says what you're doing is not going to work. No matter what the reason is, it doesn't matter. At some point, I started doubting whether reaching out to 12 people a day or 10 people a day was the direction to go in, because the previous week and what I had done so far that week, I got such a small return. Instead of analyzing myself, should I follow up with this person again? Should I send a reminder? Hey, did you get this? He's not interested. Instead of maybe rewriting the letter, maybe making it shorter or making it something different, I immediately thought, oh, this whole thing doesn't work. And I know a lot of clients who do that with diet and exercise. Oh, this whole thing doesn't work for me. I'm just big boned. I'm this. And I think we do it in relationships. I think we do it with money. I think we do it in our career. Disbelief is anything that tells us this thing we want to do can't work for us.
Well, I'm curious how you came up with this reaching out to 12 people a day. Is that something you just plucked out of thin air, or one of the business gurus that we listen to? Did you get that from some of their training, or how did you arrive at that
So first of
formula?
all, the number that I chose was plucked out of thin air. The concept and the idea of reaching out to people, that is something that's, has seemed to work for a lot of people. I get contacted by a lot of people with emails through texting, hey, check out this, or hey, I'm doing this. So I just figured it's a great way. So on Facebook, when someone has a birthday, I offer to help them create the body they want this next year. Nobody's ever, well, I had one person respond. If I send out friends requests to people and they respond, I say, hey, thanks for accepting my request. Hey, is there a way that you improve your body? I'd like to help you. So it's just seemed like a great way to reach out to people in an unintimidating way to say, hey, I want to help you try my free program. I'm offering something for free. I thought it would be easier to get people to join for free than it would be to charge them. But it turns out it's not. You still have to have a great value proposition.
Yeah, even free can. It's often easy to ignore something that's free because people don't put a lot of value in it. But even if something is great value, like your program, people are so jaded and cynical or distracted that they don't take any effort whatsoever, or they'll sign up and never show up. It's crazy how people act sometimes. They want to do things, but then they give up. Like you said, the disbelief. This is not going to work for me.
Yeah, and I think there's another thing. There's so much conning going on out there, so many fast cons, so much, identity theft that I think when a stranger tell you, Rick, I'm going to help you for free, you naturally doubt it. If we all think that, this is a real aside, we think that conning doesn't impact us as long as we don't fall for it. But it's not true. It affects us as marketers, especially because nobody believes we're real. Nobody believes what we're saying is true because so many people on social media have this Ponzi scheme or this other type of thing that they're doing. Secondly, don't get started on lawyers. All those lawyer commercials, you pay for them whether you get sued or not, because lawyers make money from insurance companies, and it is the insurance company that then charges you for it. But that's a whole different subject that don't get me started on.
Yeah, lawyers are not my favorite people, and I know a few. I've got fraternity brothers. I got three fraternity brothers that are lawyers, and while they aren't terrible people, I still wouldn't trust them with the dollar, but just because they're lawyers.
Well, I just think it's one of those things that there's no such thing as a victimless crime, and there's no such thing as a free service. So I'll just give you an example as it relates to health, and we'll let you get to your topic, Rick. All of these, I think they're called there's a class of drugs that helps people lose weight. And apparently there's some evidence that says they work. The problem is they all come with side effects. And some of those side effects have yet to be discovered. But here's what's going to happen. I promise you it's going to happen. There's going to be a class action lawsuit where a law firm decides to sue the manufacturers. They go to all the people who suffered through these side effects and say, we'll get you money. They will each get a couple of thousand, maybe 10 or 20,000, and the attorneys will make millions. The,
Oh yeah,
the pharmaceutical companies are making millions right now. People are buying this stuff like crazy. They think they're getting results. The results won't last. And all the side effects will come. Then the attorneys will get involved. They'll sue. The attorneys will make millions, and those people will get a few $1,000s, and then they'll suffer the rest of their lives with the ailment. This is the cycle that happens over and over again.
yeah.
Between
Attorneys, when they do those big class action suits, they'll get 30% of the award plus expenses. So they're taking half of the award, and the rest is divvied up amongst the plaintiffs. So
and there's
if they're acting,
thousands of plaintiffs. There's thousands. It's not like there's just you and two others. There's thousands of them. So they end up with a couple of grand, maybe 20 grand if it's a big enough settlement, and the attorneys walk away with millions. And somehow that's a good deal for the people who, you get what I'm saying. Anyway, Rick, you have a topic. What if? Go start talking about it before the whole show becomes about attorneys.
I tell you, it's easy to get sidetracked. I'm 54, you're 64, right?
Yes.
And it's easy to be the crotchety old get off my lawn ranting about attorneys and everything that's wrong with the world. And a lot of that comes from experience and not necessarily wisdom, but experience of being scammed and duped and overpaying and learning the hard way. There's no such thing as a free thing because everything comes with a cost. Even if you can't see it, it's built into the price you're paying somewhere else.
So Rick,
But
I'm sorry. I feel like you're telling me I'm an old man, and I'm saying I think that this is not. This is. I don't think this is that simple. If you look at what happens when attorneys create class action lawsuits, they make millions. The thousands of plaintiffs may make 10 or 20 grand, but the attorneys make millions. They don't give a crap about their clients. They make
no,
millions. The pharmaceutical companies making millions off these drugs. These people will get sick. There will be a class action lawsuit. The attorneys will promise them big money. The attorneys make money, and the people get thousands. You don't have to comment. That's it. Move on, Rick. What if? What if?
I'm not disagreeing, but what I wanted to do was pivot of again, it's easy to get angry at things in the world because we've been jaded, we've been disappointed, we've seen bad things happen to good people, and we've tried to save money for retirement, or we tried to go to the gym and we've given up because it didn't work immediately. Um, and so I wanted to talk about today of, you know, whenever somebody thinks something is too good to be true, hey, talk to Mark. He'll help you lose weight, get in shape, live a better, more healthy life. Talk to Rick. He'll help you with your debts and get you out of debt, get you on a savings plan. And you're one weekend or 1 month in and you're not magically changed. People give up. They're like, well, it didn't work for me. Like you said earlier, the disbelief of, I'm not worthy. It's not going to work for me. It's a scam. It's easy to fall into that trap of my immediate gratification isn't happening, so therefore it's got to be a lie or it's terrible. I'm not good enough. Whatever I'm doing is a scam. It's really easy to fall into that trap of being jaded and cynical. Um, and in my recovery ministry, I talk to people all the time who are trying to give up drugs or alcohol or pornography or whatever, and they make a decision, hey, I don't want to live like this anymore. They start working a recovery program, and a week into it, they relapse and have a drink. And they beat themselves up like, well, I'm not worried. I'm never going to be able to quit drinking because I couldn't pull it off. I'm like, well, you've been years getting where you are. You're not going to change overnight. It's not a miraculous flip a switch. My life is different now. You're going to stumble. You're going to have setbacks. Don't give up. It's progress, not perfection. That's what we keep telling people. It's progress, not perfection. As long as you don't go on a 3-day bender because you had one drink, that's progress. You called me and told me that you had a drink and you slipped up, and that's progress, because the old you wouldn't have told anybody. You kept drinking. Or kept drugging or kept watching porn or whatever you're doing.
So just to be clear, that's not me he's talking about. He's talking about
No,
one
it's
of his
not you.
recovery patients. I don't call him when
So,
I drink. I just drink.
so when you go to the gym and like I've said before, January 1st, the gym's full. By January 10th, the gym's empty because people have gone a couple of times, didn't see miraculous results, and they give up. So I try to encourage people, um, if you think something's not going to work, if you think your life is not going to change for the better, whether it's your health, relationships, your relationship with God, your finances, if you think it's not going to work or change, you're right. It's not. That's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I go into a situation where I'm talking to a potential client and I'm thinking in the back of my mind, they're never going to buy from me. They're never going to invest in themselves with me. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do it because it's a negative thought process and a self-fulfilling process. That negative thought process in my brain translates to body language, my tonality, my facial expressions, the words I say. If I think somebody's not going to go forward with me, I'll cut a meeting short. If I'd have done my normal presentation, I at least had a 50-50 chance. But if I give up because in my brain it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. So I encourage people to think, what if? When I talk to people, they say, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if I can't do this? What if I lose my job? What if I get, sick? What if I don't save enough money? And I look at them and say, But what if you did? What if it did work out? What if you did lose the 30 pounds? And what if you did improve your cholesterol levels? What if the work you did pays off? Because it's so easy to fall in that trap of it's never going to work. They're lying to me. It's a scam. So people don't even try, or they give a half-hearted effort to do what they set out to do. Just like you said about the disbelief, you know, you spend 4 days talking to 12, reaching out to 12 people a day, and then you give up. Well, what if that fifth day was the day one of the 12 was going to, join your program and bring 5 of his friends? There's a book called, I think it's 3 Feet from Diamonds. It's about giving up when you're in the middle of working towards your goals. And this guy's bought an old abandoned diamond mine. He's digging away for years. He finally gives up. And somebody else buys the claim, comes in and spends 1 day with a pickaxe and finds this huge diamond in the wall and finds a vein of diamonds that makes him a multimillionaire back in the 1800s. So it's important not to give up on something you've set out to do, to give in to the disbelief, to give in to the self-doubt and worry and anxiety. Because what if? What if your breakthrough is right around the corner? What if, and I'm a Christian, so what if God has a plan for you that you can't see, but is preparing you for your success by growing you through struggles? What if it does work out? What if it's worth it? What if going to the gym will, over a period of time, 6 months, will make a miraculous change in your health? What if reading one more book could unlock a key in your brain that is holding you back from a mental prison? What if working with somebody on your finances could get you out of debt 10 years faster than you would have otherwise been out of debt, so you could start building a retirement? What if you didn't have to live on Social Security and be frail and unhealthy and living Social Security check to Social Security check? What if you could really make the changes in your life that matter so your future can be better? So I just want people to understand there's possibilities of something really being true, working out. Now, it's not a guarantee that everything is going to work out. I don't promise rainbows and unicorns for everybody. But if you set out a big goal, a big enough goal to get you off the couch, and you're moving towards that goal, even if you fail, you're still better off than where you would have been if you never started. The whole thing about goals is BHAG goals, big, hairy, audacious goals. There's other acronyms that I'm not going to go into, but if you set out a goal and it's huge and you hit it, great. What if you actually made that happen? What if you had the help and the discipline to actually accomplish what you set out to do? Well, what if you miss it, but you're still way better off than you would have been if you didn't get started? Or what if you set a goal, I've heard it said before, aim for the stars, and even if you miss, you're still, higher than the moon. If you aim for the curb and hit it, what if you if you aim for the curb, what if you hit it? That's not what we want for our clients, our friends, our family. We want them to open their hearts and minds up to the possibilities that life can be different, life can be better. It's not going to be perfect. It's not linear. It's really important to know that my progress on my goals is not a straight line. It's got ups, downs, side steps, backpedaling, relapses, pivoting. The important thing to remember is, what if I keep doing it? What if I keep working? What if I get the help I need? What if I change what I'm doing so I'm more effective? Or what if I change to be more efficient with what I'm doing? What if I can drink 64 ounces of water versus 32 ounces of water? What if I go for that walk instead of sitting on the couch and watching television, eating junk food? What if I make little changes that add up over time and I stick to it long enough so the immediate disappointment, because I'm not seeing immediate results, what if I can just last one more week or one more month or whatever? Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying 100%. I do, and I agree with it 100% too. That the what if is a very very important question. I think there was a commercial about that years ago. Some company did what if? What if you did it and it worked? I want to give you not the opposite, but a similar what if concept. That is, what if you don't? What if you
Ooh,
don't take better care of your body? What if you don't take better care of your money? What if you don't take better care of your relationship? The consequences are plain and simple. You will suffer. You will struggle. So I think the what if can be played two ways. The only thing that I think we know for sure is that no matter what, there are always consequences. Are you going for the positive consequences, or are you just settling into acceptance of the negative consequences?
it's really yeah, our default is be negative. Unfortunately, true, for whatever reason, our default is what if it doesn't work? What if it?
But
I,
Rick,
but you're
what's in,
right.
what's interesting about that is our default is to the negative, not to the negative consequences. Like our
Yeah.
default is to negative, this won't work. It's not to the negative consequences that will happen if we don't do something. Does that make sense? Because I think that's the important point.
Yeah, you make a good distinction. What if it doesn't work? Well, okay, it doesn't work. What if I don't do it? Well, I die sooner and not
And
enjoy the last few years of my life.
I live a miserable life. If I don't do it, I live a miserable life. And it's the same for both, whether it's wealth or health. If you don't do something to create it, what if your what if is a life of poverty and a life of poor health? That's for sure. So anything better than that has got to be like a little bit of money over the course of a long period of time goes a long way. A little bit of walking, a little few calorie cuts over the course of a long time goes a long way. That's what we're saying, right? We're not saying you're going to get rich and you're going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was 30. We're saying if you don't do something, you're going to be broke and unhealthy. We want you to do a little something every day to become healthy and wealthy. That's the trade off. That's all we're saying.
It's
All
like
right.
a pendulum. It's either what if it works? It's one way. What if it doesn't? It's the complete other way. There's no really staying still because staying still is not an option. Life's going to get better or worse. If you don't get off the couch and don't do something different, your life's going to take one or two paths. It's going to be less money, less health, less relationships, less joy, less fulfillment, or it's going to be markedly different, better, more health, more mobility, more strength, more money, more lifestyle, more friends, more being real. To me, you can't sit still because you're only going backwards if you're sitting still.
Yeah. So I'm into lions and I watch videos of lions, and a lion is not the king of the beast because it's bigger and stronger than everyone else out there. It's that way because they do things as a community. That's their success. They do things as a community, which is strategic thinking. And if you're sitting listening to our podcast alone thinking that you have to do something all by yourself, you are wrong. Rick would love to help you take steps to create wealth. I would love to help you take steps to wealth. I've created a community of people who we were working together on the same journey. We can be like lions and we can move forward and become the kings of our domain instead of the outside influences that affect us. And I just think that that is so important. If you listening to me right now only see yourself as the asset, then you're missing the point of our podcast. Rick can help you do things with your money, with your budgeting, with your finances to improve your life, to move closer to wealth. And I can do things to help you move closer to health.
It's
You
really
don't have to do it
important to
alone.
have. It's really important. I want to really important to have community, but it's also very important to have the knowledge and education to at least open your mind to the possibilities. And that's what we both do is we show people just making little changes can have a big impact over time. That if somebody like Mark or myself didn't tell you these things, you might stay stuck where you are, and that's effectively going backwards versus where your future could be.
Yeah. And so we think that when we say what if, there's two what ifs. There's the what if that's possible, which is Rick is called your attention to by you doing something to make something happen. And there's the what if, which isn't really a what if, Rick. It's really more of a definite. If you don't do something, I promise you, you will have health problems. If you don't do something about your finances, you will have wealth problems, and you'll be in poverty. You will struggle. So there's so many. Those. It's really those aren't even what ifs, right? Those are definitive. Look at
It will
people who
happen.
don't.
Yeah.
Yes, it will happen. Anyway,
So,
Rick,
Mark, how can we find out about your community?
just visit Mark. You can. There's so many ways to get there. There's markdulaney.com. Dulaney spelled with a U. There's the school, SKOOL of health.com. There's the healthmillionairesclub.com. There's so many ways to get there that you can get there so easily just by typing in something, and you'll go to my free community and I will help you on that journey. And what if you join me and I help you create the body you've always wanted to live in? Rick, how do they contact you?
You can go to my website, getmydebtfreedate.com, getmydebtfreedate.com. You can schedule a free intro call with me. We do a discovery call and help you understand what your possibilities are so you can live a better life. And imagine if you're 65, 70 years old, what if you had $1 million in the bank instead of zero? What if? What could be different?
So, Rick, paint a picture of a person who should call you today. Age, what situation they're in, that this person should definitely call you.
My ideal client is somebody between the ages of 30 and 50. They've got a mortgage, a car note, a house note, credit card debt. They got a kid. They don't know how to pay for. They're going to pay for college. I help you with a strategic plan to leverage your dollars more than once and get out of debt and spend the same dollars more than once. Imagine if you're paying for your kid's college could also help you pay for your retirement. So you have $1 million plus tax-free in retirement, so you can enjoy the lifestyle that you've worked so hard to attain.
So I'm still trying to teach Rick to ask me the same question I ask him, and it's a work in progress. What if? It's like, what if you keep saying the same thing over and over again? Eventually, he'll get the idea that if I ask him a question, and it's a good question, then maybe he'll ask me back. But that's
Mark, inquiring minds want to know who's your ideal client. Who can you help the most? Who should reach out to you?
So if you are about or over 50 and you're preparing financially for retirement, what good is the wealth without your health? So I simply want to help you take steps today to match your health with your wealth. So when you retire, you can have a decades long, fun, travel filled retirement. Here's one thing. I have a client. She's 67 years old. She's the only one of her four grandparents, of her grandchild's four grandparents, who can get on the floor, play with her grandson, and get up by herself. I want to help you be able to do that. That's the person who should call me. Any last thoughts, Rick, or let's bring this show to an end?
Don't trap yourself in the prison of it's never going to work. I'm not worthy. This is all a scam. Open your mind to what if it does work? What if you can make a change? And what if people like Mark and I can help you?
And I would like to take the opposite of that and say there's no what if about what will happen if you don't get help. You are going to struggle with your health and you're going to live paycheck or Social Security check to Social Security check. And that's not a life that you want. You're not working your whole life to have health problems and financial problems. Have a great week, Rick. We'll talk to you next week. And everybody out there, same bat time, same
Bring
bat
that
channel.
channel.